guys, welcome back to my channel. I am super excited for today's video, more than I've been excited for a video in a really long time. Today we are doing some DIY phone cases that aren't going to cost you pretty much anything except maybe 10 bucks in my case. If you're anything like me, I'm somewhat close to getting a new phone and my phone case is sort of worn out, the sides are sort of coming off, and I didn't want to pay for a very expensive one, so I wanted to come up with a really inexpensive solution with a bunch of different DIY inserts as well as a clear case. That way I can switch it out according to whatever I'm feeling that day. So yeah, there's going to be lots of inspiration in this video, lots of very aesthetic DIY phone case ideas that you can definitely do yourself. All of them are really easy. Some of them are a little bit more involved, but still super easy to do. Anyone can do them, and I'm just super excited to share this video with you. If you are new, make sure that you subscribe down below, give the video a thumbs up to let me know that you liked it, and comment down below which of these three inserts, which of these three cases you like the best. I make a bunch of DIY, home decor, and homemaking content on my channel, so if you're in need for some more DIY inspiration, I have lots of DIY dupes for high-end items, lots of decorating, shop with me, clean with me videos, anything like that. Make sure that you're subscribed and you can check those other videos out after this. I will link a few down below for you in the description as well as in the iCards. But I believe that is everything. We're going to go ahead and get started. So for this video, I did pick up this clear case off of Amazon. Like I said, I think I'm somewhat close to getting a new phone, so I went a bit on the cheap side. I want to say it was 7 or 8 bucks, but nonetheless, I will link it down below if you are interested. Also, as I'm going through this video, I feel like this is gonna look super small because a lot of people have like iPhone 12s and things, and I still have an iPhone SE, so I don't know, I feel like it's a little bit small. Nonetheless, you can buy a case to fit any size of your phone and you can do these same sort of tricks. So the trickiest part of this DIY was definitely trying to figure out the best way to make the perfect size insert for the case. My first attempt, and probably the worst attempt, was probably using that little styrofoam insert that comes with it. I was thinking that this was the perfect size for the inside of the phone case. It was a little bit on the small side, and also the styrofoam just kind of kept on shifting and it wasn't the best option, but nonetheless we made it work. Stay tuned, I do find a better solution. It's a little bit more time consuming, but it gives you a better fit. Realistically, for this DIY, you can use any sort of paper, but in this video, and also a recommendation that I would have for you, I would recommend using a cardstock. It's a little bit of a thicker piece of paper. If you don't know where to get cardstock, they are super cheap over at Hobby Lobby. They're under $1 per sheet, usually they're 12 by 12. And also, if you didn't want to design your own phone case or do any sort of collage, you can also get a bunch of patterns. There's also big books of different pattern cardstocks to choose from if you want to go that route. So after getting my shape, I put it back in the case, and as you can see, I'm cutting out the spot for where the camera is going to be until I have a good fit, and now it is time to start putting our design together. And one thing that I wanted to mention really quick is that for my base, I just chose that really light gray color. I didn't plan on any of that showing, but that is something to keep in mind because you can use the base as part of your color scheme if that's something you want to do. But for this, I really didn't care if there was any of my pen showing, for example, for when I was tracing everything, or what the color of the base of my insert was going to be. So for this design in particular, I was going for a pink color scheme. Of course, you can do any color scheme you would like. For this specific technique, I would recommend getting a cardstock, just because when you tear the paper into pieces, you sort of see those layers and you sort of see that white peeking through. I personally really love the way that looks. I think the rough edge just adds a lot of character, and I decided to go for a pink sort of ombre look. So I'm starting with a very dark pink at the bottom, and it gets lighter as you go towards the top. And then for this layer specifically, this is just a piece of vinyl that I had left over, so I just used my scissors to cut a jagged edge. That way it just sort of goes with the whole theme. And we're just gonna go through and keep building our design, doing random jagged shape on the cardstock. And as you can see, I'm just using a plain old Elmer's glue stick to adhere everything. It's easy to use, it dries really fast, it's really inexpensive, and it doesn't leave any lumps underneath the paper like something like a hot glue gun would. And you'll see a little bit later that I'm not worrying about going over where the camera is. Later, we're gonna cut off the excess, and it's not really gonna matter. And another thing to keep in mind, you can use so many different things to make this DIY your own. You could use newspaper clippings, you could use magazine cutouts and pictures, maybe even tissue paper. Lots of different things that you could do with this, depending on what you have laying around and what's super easily accessible. And now we're going to be flipping it over and cutting out the excess. This part's super easy. You just follow all the way around the case and cut off everything that is hanging over. And then to cut out the part where the camera is going to be, I started by using this little styrofoam insert again. That way I wasn't cutting into my table or my piece of cardstock there. there, and I just went around and cut that out. And like I said, this isn't a perfect fit, but it did work really well. And overall, this turned out really simplistic. It's super cute. I love the character we were able to get with the jagged edges and the sort of rough white edge that we have in the layers of the cardstock. Super fun and simplistic. Anybody can do this, and it's really easy to make it exactly how you like it. Next up, this is perfect for anyone who really loves that neutral aesthetic. So I'm just using the same base color, the same background color that we used for our first one, and this time I'm using the actual case and tracing all around it. Now, of course, the place where the insert goes is a little bit smaller than the case. That's why I sort of shied away from doing that in the first place. But overall, I think this is the best technique to get it perfectly sized. You're going to see that I do a first initial cut. I just follow all my lines, and I also traced out where the camera is going to be peeking through. And you'll also see as I put it in the case, it is a bit too big, obviously because of the little border that goes all the way around. And now I'm just sort of touching up and taking a little bit off of both the top, the bottom, and the sides until I have a perfect fit. This part is really trial and error, but I did it a few times and it definitely does get easier the more you do it. And like I said, it really is the best way to get the perfect size. Once the piece is in, I'm just going to use my pen to trace around where the camera is on the other side and cut that out with my X-Acto knife as well as some scissors. As you can see, I did accidentally rip the top, but since I do plan on covering that up, I really didn't find it to cause any problems or anything. I just made sure it was a nice clean edge and it was something we're going to worry about later. Now comes the fun part, which is adding all of our images. I will try to post a blog post that I'll have down in the description for you of all of these images. That way, if you want to use them to make this exactly or make something different of your own, you can access them and you don't need to go through Google and find them like I did. Of course, if you want to, it is super easy. Just type in a neutral aesthetic, and that's basically what I typed in to get all of these images. So as you can see, I picked a bigger picture to sort of be my background color or my background pattern, if you will. I made sure that it went over where my camera is. That way I don't need to worry about that little rip or anything, and you're really never gonna notice it. And once that is glued on there, I'm just gonna go around and cut off the excess, and we're going to start cutting out our images to go all over this case. Like I said, I just typed in neutral aesthetic images on Google, and all of these popped up. I put them in a Google Doc, and I sized them to how I thought they were going to look, and a pretty small size. I did a mix of images as well as I did one with a little saying on it or a phrase just to give the case a little bit of something different, and I just loved how all of these images played together. And same for the previous case, you can personalize this to whatever aesthetic you like. I really love the neutral aesthetic, but you could do pink, blue, green. You could do all different kinds of colors. You could do season themed ones like winter or fall. Those would be really pretty. And once I had them cut out, I just laid them all together and made sure I really liked how the vibe was looking. Next is a complete personal preference, trial and error sort of process. As you can see, some of the images I did leave a white border around. I feel like it really gives the case a little bit of a dynamic. It just gives it a little bit of depth. It gives it a little bit of something different. I like how it makes them look like they were photos that I took. And once I had it laid out to how I liked it, I took a picture of it on my phone and got to gluing. And as you can see, I did layer some of them. So I went through with the first layer of photos and slowly built up all of my other images. That's why taking a picture of it is super helpful. That way you know exactly where everything is going to end up and you can sort of plan out your order of operations. Another quick tip is to put the glue on the actual picture itself and then put it on the background rather than putting a bunch of glue on the background itself. That way you don't have anything sticky sticking out or anything like that, and it just makes the process really seamless. Another thing I forgot to mention is you may notice that I did cut out a few different pictures into different shapes. That way I just gave the case a little bit more of a dynamic. I really like how the organic shapes play off of the 90-degree angles and just give your eye something a little bit different to look at. And same thing, we're going to flip it over, cut off all the excess, cut out where the camera is going to be, and that is pretty much it. Since we already know that it fits, we don't need to worry about that. We're just going to pop it in the case, and there you are, a very simple, beautiful, neutral aesthetic sort of photo collage case. I love the way that this looks and how you can customize it to different things that you love, and of course change the color scheme if you're going for something a little bit different. It just gives a perfect summer vibe. And last but most certainly not least, we are going to feed into my ongoing obsession, which is my dog. The layout and the whole process of this is going to be very similar to the previous one we just did, but in this one we're going to be using some personal photos. And of course you can use personal photos. Maybe you also have a dog, maybe you have cats like I do, maybe you just want to put a bunch of pictures of your friends and your family, maybe you take a lot of beach pictures and you want to put all of those together in a collage. So many different things to do, and as you'll see later, in addition to the photos I did print off a few sort of green aesthetic photos to sort of go with the theme. So as I just briefly mentioned, we are going for a green aesthetic just because most of the pictures I take of my dog are in the grass or maybe like on the road, on a sidewalk or something like that. So I thought that this really played well together. And same for the last phone case, I printed off a bunch of different photos that I found on Google. Again, I can have those in that blog post down below. So I have a background image, I have a little text that says a sweetheart, and then I picked out a few of my favorite pictures of my dog. And this was really fun to put together because I used some of her old puppy pictures, some when she was a teenager, as I like to call it. She was sort of halfway grown, and some that are a lot more recent. So it was just really fun to put all of these different images together. And again, I did leave little white borders around some of them just to sort of give it that authentic sort of Polaroid feel. And just like last time, we're going to be starting with our big background image. I really love this sort of dusty, sort of sage green cloud image that I found on Google. Super pretty and adds a lot of different tones to our dark green background. And I plan on using this sort of green background as part of the design. So of course, that's why I sort of changed the background color. That way it sort of goes with our theme. And for this one, I placed it right in the middle. So I went around and cut off the excess and where it was covering up the camera and started laying out my photos. Now the ones with the white borders, I sort of spread those out first. And then I went in with my other images and just sort of layered them together in a way that I thought would look really nice and aesthetic. And again, just like last time, once I had a layout that I was happy with, I took a picture of it on my phone and started gluing down everything in layers. Another thing you may notice having my phone sitting right there is that my phone is actually red. It was not my first choice. You guys know I am a neutral girl at heart. It sounds kind of stupid, but it's kind of one of the reasons why I want to get a new phone. Of course, I've had this phone for over 2 years now. It's definitely old, but something you may notice in the B-roll photos is that I'm just taking B-roll of the case without the phone in it because it actually does show when I put my phone in it, unfortunately. But yeah, when I was getting my phone, red was the only option that they had, and I just went with it. So it works just fine. I'm not complaining at all. It was just sitting there, so I just thought I would mention it. And another thing is you may notice that I'm using tweezers. I just use the ones that came with my Cricut machine. Of course, any tweezers will work, and it just makes it really easy to precisely lay those little pieces exactly where you want them. And that is it for the final case. I love how this turned out. This is the one I personally have on my phone right now, and it's just so cute. I love looking at her old pictures as well as the recent ones all together. And all together, I feel like it created this very beautiful green aesthetic. I just really love the way that this looks, and it was super easy and fun to put together. And just as a recap, these are all of the 3 inserts that we made today. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite, and let me know if you guys have any ideas for this sort of project. Is it something similar to what I showed you today? Is it a variation? Is it something completely different? I would love to know. I just love that there's a really easy, inexpensive way to customize your phone case to exactly how you want it to look, and it's super easy to switch up. Alright you guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. You got some ideas for making your own DIY phone cases. This was really fun, super therapeutic. If you have some time on your hands, definitely a good activity to do and to formulate and make your own. Really affordable and just a really fun way to add a little bit of personality to your phone case. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know which one was your favorite in the comments down below. I am partial to the one of my dog as well as the neutral one, even though I still love the pink one. Those ones I'm just like very drawn to for some reason. And if you want to see more videos from me, make sure that you subscribe, you comment down below, give the video a thumbs up. I make lots of home decor, DIY, and homemaking content over on my channel. I'd love to have you, and there's plenty of other videos to check out. But yeah, I believe that is everything. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day so far. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.